Game over.
Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to Movie Deathmatch Beatdown, where I talk about movies while playing video games. We are playing Halo 4, and I'm about to talk about Kingsman. And just a little bit of housekeeping. This is the first episode that's been recorded after the whole Joe Lynch brouhaha, which probably none of you are aware of, because you guys have taste watching this YouTube channel. But yeah, basically we figured out that Joe Lynch is just as much of a douchebag as his movies seem to testament about his characters and his filmmaking style and everything. But let's move on, because I'd rather talk about movies that you should put your time on, and people and filmmakers and actors used really well in a movie recently. And that movie is Kingsman: The Secret Service. Saw it in the IMAX twice in the last 2 days, mainly because it was for showing other friends the movie, instead of me just wanting to go out and see it over and over again. But I will tell you what I really liked about it. I'll tell you a few of the problems I had with it, because every film has problems with it, but I think it's really good, and from the bat I'm going to say it's a 4-star movie at least. At times I thought this is 4.5. It's not perfect, but it made me laugh a lot. It impressed me with the way it was filmed. Like, I really like Matthew Vaughn movies. I really like X-Men First Class. Kick-Ass was great, but I think Kingsman, it's not the pinnacle of what he's done, and he'll probably make even better stuff in the future. But as it stands, very impressive stuff. Very fun. Very darn good. It stars Colin Firth and Taron Egerton, I think his name is. I'll have to look that up properly. And yes, to go to like the Everly episode, I think it was, Jane Goldman did indeed help write the screenplay for this, so that's another reason why it's really good. Like, I don't know if you American fans and such are familiar with Jonathan Ross, but he's like a TV host and occasional writer and such. And I believe he's still married to Jane Goldman, which is great, because they seem to be quite a good entertainment couple. Jane Goldman seems to be a fantastic screenwriter, and she's done a lot of Matthew Vaughn stuff like Stardust and Kick-Ass and all that. And I think she did X-Men First Class as well. And yeah, Kingsman is very much the James Bond movie I wish we still got. Because the reboot's fine and all, I've got huge problems with it, and I've got things I really like about it. But it's not my Bond, if that makes sense. And yes, that means I am still a fan of the dated concept, and yes, I am aware of all the problems, especially the women stuff in them, but that still doesn't change the fact that they're still really enjoyable when you look at, well, that sounds really bad, but yeah, if you look around all the blatant racism and sexism and all the other isms of James Bond, they're actually really fun movies that are nice commentaries of where movies are going in that period of time and what's going on in the world at that period of time. That's why you get stuff like Moonraker after Star Wars and all that, and how there's cycles, much like how horror movies have cycles. But that's just turning into a deconstruction of the James Bond franchise, which, if I ever make my serious YouTube channel where I actually talk about movies without playing video games, I think one of my videos will be talking about how James Bond has just evolved along the 50-year history it's had. But Kingsman is very much like if James Bond was at its peak still, and if James Bond was potentially rated 18 but it was been cut to a 15 because marketability and all that. So Colin Firth is this very old school James Bondian gentleman spy who in the 90s were training new recruits for this Kingsman, their version of MI6 or whatever secret service you'd like to reference. And something goes wrong, one of their recruits saves everyone else by leaping onto a grenade, and this is in the first minute or two in a very stylish retro segment. Boom. no scope. And it's a nice way of starting it, because flashbacks are like the death knell of cinema, depending on how they're presented. Like if it's spaghetti westerns, or if it's like a Tarantino movie where it's not actually flashbacking, but going back and forth through time, that's fine. But it's the reason why Big Hero 6 works. It's the reason why Finding Nemo works, where you put all the emotional stuff right at the beginning. You establish everything, and then you continue on with the flick, instead of mixing up the pace and the tone and having to go back to explain why people are acting in certain ways. And there's a lot of clever writing in it. And I know I did my Big Hero 6 review like before it came out properly. Like I saw it on the one day previews before wide release, and I've seen that again today as well as Kingsman. I have to say, Big Hero 6 does have writing problems, like at least in the beginning, because everything is like flat on the page. It's more tell and don't show. And Kingsman is a mix. It's a mix of both, I guess. Because obviously there's like the briefing stuff, but then you also get all this visual information, and it all just zips along at a nice pace. I think it's 2 hours long, but it's one of those movies where you don't feel how long it is. It's the exact opposite of some of the other action movies I've seen recently, which have been 90 minutes but feel like 2.5 hours. Kingsman is like 2 hours, but it never really hits that. And even when it has the usual screenwriting crutch of, oh, things have gone bad, let's... Ooh, what was that? That was a bunch of lag, that's all that was. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and everything just sags and like 2/3 of the way in. It has that moment, but it swiftly goes through it. And it also helps that in that little sagging bit, that it's actually enhanced by probably one of my favourite recent action scenes. It goes up there with the Hong Kong sequence of Pacific Rim and the final fight of the Raid 2. There's a fantastic scene that takes place in a church, and it also includes the best usage of the song Freebird I've ever seen in a movie. And that's just like tip of the iceberg for this film. It's got a lot of that gentleman spy, old school James Bond to it. It's got gadgets, it's got fantastic gunplay, it's got dark humour. It's not like Mark Millar comicsy, sort of too dark, it's just enough. And yeah, it's a bit sadistic in places, but in a fun way. But issue-wise, and this will probably go into another game of talking, because I haven't finished what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, there's a few issues, like Mark Hamill's in it, and he's great, but he uses his Joker voice as he plays a Brit. So he's trying to play a British scientist, not a science guy, wow. Or a lecturer in sciences and global warming and climate change and all that. But he is just using his Joker voice, which might take some people out of it. Like a lot of nerds who still appreciate his Joker, and not just those who like watched him when they were younger, but if you still play the game, still watch the cartoon, and know who Mark Hamill is other than Luke Skywalker, then you might be taken out of the experience that way. Samuel L. Jackson is great, but he's not underdeveloped, but he could be even better. He references Bond movies and Bond villains a lot, which is great, but he never really becomes a Bond villain with capital letters. It's very much, he's nearing that, and there's bits that are fine, and there's like a fair few scenes that you get which he lampshades the fact that yes, they happen in the James Bond movies, but it's got a slight twist to it in this. And it's all about that slight twist in the film, which I really like, but I just wish that he had just a few steps below, like a Blofeld, or a Strax, or anything like that. He's not like a Baron Samedi or whatever, which is kind of a shame. Same with his henchwoman, who I think her name's Gazelle. I mean, she is fantastically designed. For one, she's a non-white henchwoman who's very strong, and she has like the disability of she has no legs, but she's got these prosthetic like blade things, a lot like Olympic runners in the Paralympics, where they've got like the not stilts, but you know what I mean. She's got that, but they're also double as like sword blade things, like literally like metal slicey, and that is great. I really love that design, and I'm glad that who they cast was fantastic, and her character design was iconic in ways, and that was great. Much like how Colin Firth's character and the rest of the Kingsmen have their own uniform, she kind of has her distinct appearance, which once again reminds me of the Raid 2, where you've got like baseball bat guy and hammer girl, and they're like simple but effective designs, and that's what I really liked about it. But I wanted more of her, though I guess when you think about it, you don't get that much Oddjob in Goldfinger, and you do get a bit more Jaws because he's in 2 Bond movies, but I don't know, I wanted a little bit more in that sense. Also, if you watch in the IMAX, don't expect all the special effects to be fantastic and brilliant, because for the most part, it's great. Some green screen is not great, the way it's translated to the big screen, like it's a lot more noticeable. But the actual action, I think, is really well done. It's not... I understand why it's done the way it's done, because Colin Firth's like 50-something, and that's why you can't really have him be awesome. But it's in the hazy middle ground between something like a John Wick or any competent, fantastic, wide-angled action movie. It's the middle ground between that and stuff like Taken, which is like the worst side of the Bourne movies. It's like in that middle ground. And I mean, all that stuff's fantastic. And as I said, the scene in the church may be one of my favourite recent action scenes in a movie. But yeah, that's it. But it's good. I really enjoyed it. There's nothing huge I can really complain about it. It's not really a film I can complain about. I think Matthew Vaughn is a fantastic, brilliant director who has a great vision, and like his style really works in this film, and the action is very dynamic. It's a bit like Edgar Wright, but with a few more faster cuts and a little more obvious that people are stuntmen. But it's alright. I definitely recommend it. Nope, trying to get all of them there. It's very fun, it's very funny. It's got some great belly laughs in it. But hopefully you're in the right audience for it, and I hope you've got the same sense of humour as I do. Maybe I'm just the weird one. But no one... First time I watched it, great, people dug it. Second time, not that many people laughed, and not that many people seemed to appreciate it like I did. Which is a bit of a shame, but I guess it's who you watch the movie with and who's in the room. Because there's reasons why one of my favourite experiences going to the cinema is watching like Pulp Fiction or The Avengers, where everyone knows what they're getting. Here, with Kingsman, it's like people going in, they're not quite sure what to expect. Unless they're like people who do their research or know what's up. Oh... So, be wary of that, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. I can't say if IMAX actually makes it that much better than 2D. I mean, it certainly works for the action scenes, but it doesn't really need it. It's not special effects heavy in the best of ways. And the audio and all that doesn't really need to be enhanced the way it does. It might just be a thing for money and such, but it's the same for Skyfall. That didn't need to be in the IMAX. But it was the first IMAX movie we got on our local IMAX, so can't really complain that much about it. And sorry, I'm just rambling now, but basically, I'll catch you next time on Chris vs. the Game. The next it's not even Chris vs. the Game, I'm sorry, it's Movie Deathmatch Beatdown. The next movie I shall be talking about will be Inherent Vice, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, whose filmography I haven't seen that many movies out of, so it's not exactly a fresh experience for me, but it could be a little more informed. This isn't like Tarantino or David Fincher where I've seen everything they've made, so I won't be able to compare too much, but I still think it's going to be good, hopefully. I've heard some mixed things, but I'm thinking it's going to be brilliant. So look out for that. I'll be sometime in the next few days. Whoa, where did he come from? What have I got? Sniper rifle? Scatter shot? No, sniper rifle. Oh, nearly killed my teammate. Oh, maybe I did kill my teammate. Sword's better. No. Great. 2 close range weapons. Hide in the corridor. Yeah, so look out for Inherent Vice. That'll be the next movie. Don't know what else came out this week. I think it was this Kingsman Big Hero 6, which I uploaded yesterday or the day before, depending on what's going down. And I think Inherent Vice was like the other release in the UK. So we'll get to those. And whoop, oh, I missed. I think Jupiter Ascending is the next film after that, which I'm not sure what to expect. Some of the stuff from Sundance was not positive, but that's just the Sundance crowd who want their interesting human indie sort of movies. Can we get this guy before episodes end? And I've got an itchy nose. Oh, scratch that nose. Chase this guy. Oh, he's trying to be smart. He is not smart though. Okay, right. So yeah, Kingsman, 4 stars. Go out and watch it. If your name is Joe Lynch, please click away from this and, like, I don't know, passive-aggressively tweet about me. I've done enough of that. So sorry, thinking about a really horrible person who is also a very bad director has distracted me from my job of being awesome at Halo, which in a way is an art, even though sorry, I'm starting to get passive-aggressive even more towards Joe Lynch. I don't need to do that. I'd rather talk about good directors like Paul Thomas Anderson and Matthew Vaughn and get excited about stuff like Tarantino's got a movie coming out, Brad Bird's got a movie coming out, there's another Mission Impossible coming this year, Jurassic World, which may or may not disappoint. Though I am surprised that in the trailer I saw on the IMAX, Spielberg's name is thrown up, even though he's executive director, and yet we get nothing from the actual director, who directed the movie Safety Not Guaranteed, which is a movie I definitely recommend as well, because that's a fantastic movie that like no one has seen, and it's a crime that that hasn't been seen. I definitely think you should go watch that as well. Track it down. It's on Netflix. Oh, killing people. Killing more people. Oh, I'm out of sword. As you can see, we're just playing till the end of this episode now. Just because we can. But yeah, maybe in the future I'll link to a separate YouTube channel where I make like film essays and actually talk about movies the way I really should be talking about. Because as it stands, this is just some fun side stuff to Chris vs. the Game. an awesome gaming channel about an awesome guy who plays awesome video games most of the time. Because, yeah, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro finished yesterday as I film this. And as you can see, that was not a good game. Anyway. Oh, I missed. Okay. What's the score? 21 kills. I call that a good day. Sweet. That's the end of my double length bonus episode, I guess, where I talk about Kingsman: The Secret Service. Which you will have a lot of fun watching it. It's very funny. It's very cool. It's a nice throwback to James Bond movies. It's also good to talk about the world the way it is. Samuel Jackson's great for the most part. Could be a bit more used. Colin Firth is fantastic. Taron Egerton is a nice breakthrough star in this. It's definitely one of the best comic book movies to come out in like the last... Well, actually, I can't even say that because last year was great for comic book movies. It's a good start for this year in comic book movies and action movies in general. We've got John Wick and we've had this in space of a couple months, and yeah, it's just gonna get even better from here. So I'll see you next time. We'll be talking about not an action movie, Inherent Vice. I will catch you next time.